If you enjoy what we do here, you should definitely check out youtube.com/@MWPNewsGaming. It's our new YouTube channel where we do basically talking like this while also playing video games, old games, older games. We'd like to do new games, but those cost money. So old games, older games, retro games, forgotten games, all kinds of games. While I talk about it, get frustrated, all that kind of cool stuff. We talk about, movies, TV shows, anything like that. YouTube.com/@MWPNewsGaming. Please be sure you subscribe. That'll help us out a lot. And if you feel like we're doing a good job, please donate. co-fi.com/MWPnews. Thank you and enjoy this episode. Good morning, well, afternoon, and welcome to Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. I am Adam. I finally got around to watching, what was the name of that show? Tales of the Underworld. The third season of the Tales series from Disney Plus for Star Wars. And I don't think there's a streaming show that has quite the diminishing returns that this one does. Clearly, this is a showcase for, the point of this show is for Filoni to showcase his favorite characters, 9 times out of 10 characters he created. Because, let's go through what were the characters on the show. Season 1, it was Dooku, which he did not create. Dooku came from the movies. And then Ahsoka for Tales of the Jedi, which probably was the strongest season. Through and through. Strongest season of that show. Second season was Luminara's Apprentice. It was Tales of the Empire. And then who was the other person? I don't remember who the other person was. Which tells you how much I liked the second season. It was Luminara's Apprentice who becomes an Inquisitor. And then I forgot who the other person was. But that was Season 2, Tales of the Empire. Now we have Season 3, and it's Asajj Ventress, who I don't think Filoni created. I think Asajj Ventress came from, if I remember correctly, didn't she come from the Genndy Tartakovsky 2D micro series? Yeah, she was definitely in that, because I remember watching that and being like, oh, that is so fucking awesome. And then, I remember because this would have been well before the Clone Wars TV show, the animated one that we know now, that's canon. I mean, I think the other one's still kind of canon, but not really. That show had, this would have been well before, it was 05, 06. There was DLC for, There was DLC for Battlefront 2 on the Xbox. I didn't have an Xbox. I had it for PlayStation 2. And I remember being so bummed because, 2 of my favorite levels were in the DLC pack because you were able to play Bespin, which was one of my favorite levels from both platforms, and Cloud City were my favorite levels in the original Battlefront, and you could only play it with the DLC. And then, Ren Var was there, and I think, what was the other one? The other level for Kashyyyk. But also included in that as playable Jedi was Asajj Ventress. So yeah, it had to have been the 2D micro series. But the point is, this show is an interesting idea. Tell these kind of capsule things over the course of 3 episodes. So over the course of a half hour, you'll get this little capsule, experience about this little arc in this character's life before, during, or after when we knew them. And I think the season that did that best was Season 1, because I think we explored some territory that wasn't really explored before. What caused Dooku's fall? What caused, Ahsoka's birth? I don't really need that. I could have done, that's an element of the story that I'm like, alright, cool. And then, the last Ahsoka episode is just, the last Ahsoka episode is just the Ahsoka book, but with the lesbian undertones removed. Because I guess Filoni didn't want that. But and then it's like the Fall to the Dark Side, which is a story we've seen a million times before. I don't think necessarily that's something we need to see. Like, and it's like, okay, cool. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna see how the how they train the Inquisitors. All right, fine. I don't know. There's a lot here that I do not care for. And in this one, it's just like, look, I get that there is an appeal to the bounty hunters of Star Wars. And there has historically always been that. Boba Fett has been an IG-88. These are characters that originated in small roles. They tell you so little about them, but it's these mysterious people who go in and do bad things for bad people. And it's like there's a mystique to them. But here's my issue. I don't think the Asajj Ventress story here is particularly interesting. It feels like just bridging the gap to get her to where we need her to be in the Bad Batch from her death in the book with Quinlan Vos. Was it Dark Deeds was the book with her and Quinlan Vos in the aftermath of Order 66. But like, that's all it feels like. Is it's just we need to bridge. We brought this character back. We didn't really explain how or why, and we didn't give a good reason for it. But she's back, so now we have to, explain that, and that's what her 3 episodes feel like. And in a world where the biggest thing on Disney Plus for Star Wars, at least Star Wars, if not in total, is The Mandalorian, it feels weird that you spent 3 out of 6 episodes doing Lone Wolf and Cub again. And I think the idea to do Tales of the Underworld is just kind of a bizarre decision. Because it's like, look, we've spent so much time with Cad Bane and with Asajj Ventress, to the point that I don't need any of it. Like, nothing about what was shown in any of Cad Bane's stories enriching the world in any way. Cad Bane's a bad guy. Oh, look, Cad Bane's a bad... Cool, okay, great, moving on. I don't need any of that. It's just like, it doesn't do anything to build out the world. And I think that this show is actually the audition tape, for me at least, for why Dave Filoni should not be taking over as studio head. Because I think that there is talk that when Kathleen Kennedy retires, because I think at this point we've reached the point where Kathleen Kennedy is only leaving that seat willingly. She will not be ousted from her role. I think that is, that's kind of where we are right now. And the issue with that is, who's going to replace her when that day inevitably comes? And I think that there's a lot of, I saw it last week, speculation that Dave Filoni is the frontrunner to take over Lucasfilm when Kathleen Kennedy retires. The issue with that is, I get the appeal, especially in a post-James Gunn running, and there's always been this appeal, because like back in the 90s, or in the early 2000s, Kevin Smith was approached to run DC Studios, and he turned it down. And we ended up getting, we got the Dark Knight out of that, but then we also got the DCEU. Now, I don't know necessarily, I think Kevin Smith would have been good as the Kevin Feige if he's not hands-on directing any movies. I think he knows what he likes, and I think he can speak to the comic book fan. But, look, I think Gunn's going to do that better. And I think Gunn's going to do that very well. We're going to see how that turns out next month with Superman, but it is what it is. So the issue with this is, the issue I have with this is, very clearly, he picks and chooses the canon that he likes. He enjoys what he's done. And if he liked Cobb Vanth from Aftermath, so Cobb Vanth shows up. He liked He liked Asajj Ventress. Asajj Ventress, was not his creation, so Asajj Ventress shows up. he loves malls. The fucking mall is everywhere. And there's something to that if you are running a small corner of the universe and you're doing this. The issue with Star Wars is a vast timeline with a lot of things going on. My concern is that if we put Filoni in charge, well, not we don't have any say in the matter. It would be if Lucasfilm elects to put Filoni in charge and put him at the head of choosing what gets done, what doesn't get done. I don't think we're going to be in a situation where we're going to see this world grow out in any way beyond, like, the prequels, the time between the prequels and the original trilogy, and the, and like, maybe the time right after. Maybe. If it's something that, like, Ahsoka's involved with or something like that. Like, it's just one of those things that it's like, I don't trust that he's going to give the same love required to the entire universe. Now, and look, let me be honest. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is directly involved greenlighting or not every book published by Lucasfilm. I don't think that she's sitting there and like, okay, well, here's one High Republic book. I would be shocked if prior to the Acolyte, she knew what the High Republic was. Or outside the Acolyte, I should say. She knew what the High Republic was. Because that's something that is in the media side of things, not something that she should have to directly be involved with. But at the same time, it's like, if you're going to do these big multimedia, interconnected stories, you got to have a sense of the entire timeline. And I think that is kind of what my issue is with this. To go back and spend time, any amount of Disney's money, telling stories about Cad Bane, it's a waste. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of money, and especially in a year where we're getting more, we're getting more Visions, because Visions has been doing bounty hunter stories in this what if timeline and doing them better. So, like, why are we gonna sit here and watch Filoni do it in the same style we've been seeing it forever, with the same characters over and over again, and touching on the same conceits? When, it usually comes out in September, right? Like, if 4 months from the release, I got to it late, but if we're going to have that down the line, what's the point of Tales of the Underworld? And I don't think the show did a good job of really explaining, hey, this is why this is important. In the way that, like, Season 1 for Tales of the Jedi, it's like, this is the story of how Count Dooku fell to the dark side. This is the story of how... And I think the thing is with this, the series Tales is kind of a perfect way to synergize in a way that Disney really likes to. Because, like, arguably Season 1 should have been Tales from the High Republic. Because then it's like, oh, well, here's High Republic, we have these books, and boom, High Republic. Like, the thing that sold me on the High Republic was listening to the authors talk about it and getting to experience what that world was going to be. The idea that you're like, oh, well, here's the High Republic, this could be cool. Like, we will be reaching... The High Republic ends next week. Looking at it now? Yeah, next week. A week from today. The High Republic formally comes to an end. We will have finished the last book of the High Republic next week. And we never got to see the Nihil in live action or in animation or anything like that. And it's a cool idea. It's a really cool idea. I've had my misgivings about the High Republic, but, like, why was this not Tales from the High Republic? Maybe not this season, but Season 1 definitely should have been that. Like, Season 2, Tales of the Empire, like, why... You could have... There are so many other things in this universe, and to do Tales from the Star Wars universe and do it entirely with characters we already know and already have been well explored, it feels like you're shrinking the universe. And I think that's kind of my fundamental issue with this entire series at this point, where it's like, you give it leeway in Season 1 when it comes out, because, like, oh, this was a shadow drop. We didn't know this was coming. And there was an episode there, like, the episode with Ahsoka learning how to train with the clones is one of my favorite episodes of Star Wars anything, period. that episode with Anakin training her, and it's like, all right, so you can't train against droids because droids are robotic. They're going to do the same thing every time. I need to train you to work against clones because clones can think for themselves and they can change their strategy. So you're going to do it, and each time she's doing it, like the clones using the guns on stun, every time she falls, she gets back up, and it's just like, okay, they got me there, and it's just. You lasted 3 minutes this time. You lasted 4 minutes this time. And it goes up, it goes up, it goes up. And then they get to the end, and it's them about to go into the room with all the clones on the Star Destroyer as Order 66 is happening from the finale of the Clone Wars. And she's like, are you ready to go in there? And she's like, yes, that is, like, I'm getting chills re-describing that. And I haven't watched that in years. That is such a good episode. And the other thing goes for the episode that's set during episode 1. Like, during the funeral of Qui-Gon, this is when we get the defection of Count Dooku. That is something else that, well, I'll talk about that in a minute. That's something I saw. But, that is something that we've never seen before, hasn't been explored, and, like, it's something that, like, the general audience knows that Dooku had some... I don't know if the general audience do, but I think even, like, the people who are more cursory attached to Star Wars have an idea that, like, Dooku had more of a foundation, like, more of, not altruistic, but, like, he played mental gymnastics with himself to explain why he was aligning with the Confederacy. Like, to see that play in real time and to see him make the turn is just fantastic. And the fight between him and Yaddle, leading to the death of Yaddle, which is like, oh shit, okay, that's why she's not in any movie after episode 1, because Dooku just fucking murders her with a door. Like, it's a great episode. But do we really need all of this? Is this something we need to consistently go back to if we're only, like, Tales from the Galaxy, which is, what I think we should just call the series just Tales from the Galaxy. Just do Season 1, Tales of the Jedi, Season 2, Tales of the Empire. Like, if you're going to do Tales from the Galaxy, and that's what the series functionally is, do smaller stories with characters we don't know, or use characters we know as the man who came to town, which is, like, one of my favorite tropes. Like, it's like, and the Jedi lend themselves to that so well, especially during the prequels, where it's like, shit's going on, and the Jedi show up, they help, sometimes they leave, sometimes they make it worse. But, like, that's something that could be interesting. And I think one of the things that would be interesting, too, is, like, Tales from the New Republic. What the fuck is going on in the New Republic era? Like, that would be Tales from the New Jedi Order. Like, could you imagine if they stealth dropped this, and it was not Tales from the Underworld, but it was, like, Tales from the New Jedi Order, and it was 6 episodes about what was going on after episode 9? I would have been way more on board with that. We're getting our first book about what happened after episode 9 this year, in October. The first book about what happened after episode 9. That is absolutely absurd. It's been 6 years since that movie came out. 6 years, and we're finally getting to see, oh, well, what were they up to after that movie ended? Like, it's such a, I don't know, like, that would have been better. Tales from the First Order would have been better than Tales from the Empire, because I've seen Tales from the Empire. That's Andor, and Andor's fantastic. This was not. Like, if they did Tales from the First Order about the rise of the First Order, or, like, the First Order consolidating and going from being the warlords to all of that, like, that would have been so much smarter, much of a smarter use of their time than what we ended up getting. And we got inklings of that, but I think the seams are starting to show in the Filoni machine, and I'm not exactly thrilled about where we are with this. The idea that we're going to be sitting here and watching, these same things over and over and over again, it's like, I get it. You want to stick with what's profitable, you want to stick with what people like, but at the same time, we have a timeline that is tens of thousands of years long. we will eventually be getting to a movie about Dawn of the Jedi, allegedly. Allegedly, we're getting that movie. It's in development. It's being worked on by, what's his name? By James Mangold. Allegedly, that movie is coming. We don't know when yet. You could have done, like, could you imagine if they announced Tales from the Old Republic? And that's just what it was. But, like, no, we get this Underworld bullshit, and it's like, I don't care about Asajj Ventress anymore. I'm sorry. I don't care about Asajj Ventress anymore. I do not care about Cad Bane anymore. I don't care about either of them. Fuck both of them. I don't need to see them ever again. This is like I spent last night, each episode about 15 minutes, so I spent about an hour and a half watching this. That is an hour and a half of my life that I am not getting back. So, whatever. It is what it is. We are moving on. We are going to do the Acolyte Way Seeker. That will be our next book we talk about. And the next show, I think, on the schedule is probably, depending on what comes first, either starting the rewatch of The Mandalorian or watching Visions. Josie will be back at some point in the near future. We're trying to work out a date where she can record. But until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.